Hi everyone. In this video clip I will describe and explain the Likert scale, and I'm not going really to show you how to do step-by-step survey or questionnaire, as I'm going to do that in a separate video. But in this video I only will explain and define Likert scale and how it can be used in a questionnaire and in survey, and what type of Likert scale can be used. And then also in this presentation, once you get your data from the Likert scale, what type of test can you perform. So I'm going to list few statistical tests, and toward the end also I'm going to describe few terminology that are in common use, and you will face it when you do a questionnaire or a survey. So Likert scale was invented by a social psychologist called Renesis Like. It is a kind of a scale that are a rating scale. It's a psychometric testing to measure people or people's beliefs, attitudes, opinions toward a particular question or statement. So if you want to obtain or extract the view, the belief, the attitude, the opinion of specific people or individual toward a specific questions or statements, like COVID infection can be controlled or not, this is a way of extracting views of individuals. So Likert scale is the scale for it. It does ranks people judgment of attitude from high to low. It gives an individual a choice of selection from high to low scale. So it's a scale, and that's why it's called a scale. It does measure items including how frequent or frequency, quality, importance, and satisfaction. The Likert scale questions that you design and place in your survey or questionnaires are single choice. You only have one choice to choose out of 4 or 5 or whatever. And it is closed-ended questions. There's no extra explanation for it. Just that's it. So it's closed-ended question. The Likert scales are widely used on social and educational research. A lot of higher education and even schools and universities do a questionnaire, design a questionnaire and survey to get feedback on their surveys, hoping to improve and develop their survey. So it is trivial issue and trivial this Likert scale into the trivial component of the education, research and social sciences. The scaling responses in research, survey or questionnaire. Again, it is a scale used for questionnaire or survey. It ranks level of agreement on a scale from 1 strongly disagree to 5 strongly agree. So you give a participant an options to choose from strongly agree 5 and strongly disagree 1, and that's why it's called scale and Likert scale. This kind of a scale produce an ordinal data, because your data are your answer of participant are in order from 1 to 5. So it's ordinal data, non-parametric. The Likert scale are odd numbered scale, but can be forced Likert scale. Odd number scale have neutral response in it. So the odd one, there is a neutral response. A participant have a choice to choose from, i.e. saying neutral, or I disagree or not disagree, or I'm not sure, or I'm not bothered, or it is not relevant. So there is a neutral response. Even number scale do not have the neutral response, the response that say I am neither agree or disagree, and this is called forced Likert scale. So forced Likert scales force the participant or an individual to give an opinion or decide on one of the choices they have by eliminating and excluding the neutral, or I don't know, or I'm not interested, or it's not relevant. Now the Likert scale, when designing a questions to obtain an opinion or attitude and provide selection of answer choices in a questionnaire or a survey, that is where Likert scale is used. It can be used for surveys in social sciences, in sciences, in medical sciences, in marketing, in business, in engineering. Health worker can design a survey for obtaining patient satisfaction, aiming to improve and develop the service, and so on. So there is endless opportunity for using this questionnaire to enhance, improve, and develop service or product provided, whichever field of interest you are working in it or part of it. Here I'm giving an example of how can we use Likert scale to design a question and give the participant choices to choose from. One of the questions can be related to COVID. So I could ask the participant in design a survey and put a questions in it, ask the participant to answer this question. Taking COVID vaccine will completely prevent you from infection. And I will give the participant 5 options to choose from. 1, strongly disagree. 5, strongly agree. And I give them or skew with the answer a option of neutral. So I'm neither agree nor disagree. Once you gather this data from the Likert scale, data can be used to calculate the mood, which is the most common response from participant, and also the mean response. So when designing a questionnaire, you have 2 choices, either to go paperless or electronic. Paperless using paperless electronic or paper. So if it is electronic, you can use smart survey or SurveyMonkey, such as mobile, computer, iPad. It's all online, it's straightforward, easy. Or you can design the questionnaire and have it on a paper and distribute that for participants. And I'm not going to dwell deeply into the questionnaire design, as I said, I will leave it for a separate video to produce a step-by-step how to design a questionnaire, how to structure and shape your questionnaire, what kind of relevant questions to ask, and how to extract the information, how to analyze it using different statistical data. It will be all in different separate videos, hopefully in the coming few weeks. Now the questionnaires, especially the one in medical field, they have 2 important parts or components. Part 1 is the demographic section, which will gather information on the status of the marriage of the individual, the education, the age, the profession, whether they are doctors, health worker, dentist, and so on. Part 2 is the important one, which has the questions that aims to obtain an opinion or attitude of individuals towards specific statements. So it's called question sections, in which the participant have a single choice or a multiple choice as in Likert scale, or a question that require answering through writing text, or questions that can be answered through choosing images, one image from images, or questions based on star answers or rating scales. So those are modern way of developing and designing questionnaire, the image choices and star answer. Traditional one is using multiple choices and rating scale. Now, Likert scale is a continuum scale from highest to lowest point. So it goes into points from 2 points to 10 points. The lowest is 2, the highest is 10 points, and I'm going to describe each one of them separately. The 3 most popular Likert scale points are 0.4, 5, and 7. These are frequently used Likert scale. Forced Likert scale, as labeled here in blue for 10, 8, 6, 4, and 2, are a scale that the participants are forced to make an opinion. So there is no option of I don't know or I don't disagree, neither I do agree nor I disagree. So it does force the participant to make their opinion. That's why it's called forced Likert scale. Now, there are 5. The most common Likert scale is 5-point Likert scales, and the scales can be based on agree or disagree. I'm going to give some of the examples of these scales: satisfactory scale, likelihood scale, good to bad scale, frequency scale, quality scale, importance scale, difficulty scale, comparing two product scales, level of familiarity, method, my belief, level of awareness, overall impression, knowledge of action, level of acceptability, level of appropriateness, level of concern, level of probability, level of influence. Now, the first one I will describe, the first point forced Likert scale I will describe is that the 10-point. In the 10-point scale, a participant given an options of choosing an answer to specific questions, and it's in a form of points from 1 to 10, and that's why it's called 10 points. So 10 selection. 1 point indicate highly dissatisfied up to a highly satisfied, which is 10, and there is no neutral option. So this Likert scale is a forced Likert scale, giving the participant options to choose from scale from 1 to 10 and sort and place their opinion in any one of these, that increasing scales toward 10 and decreasing toward 1. Another Likert scale is the 9-point. In the 9-point scale, again, it goes from 1 to extremely dissatisfied up to 9, which is extremely satisfied, and in the middle 5, it has no neutral options, not satisfied nor dissatisfied, and the participant had an options to place their opinion in any of this scale. Another Likert scale that can be adopted when designing a questionnaire is an 8-point forced one. 8-point because it has 8 selections in it, and it is forced because there is no neutral options in it. So I gave an example here for a question is how satisfied are you with the service, and you have 8 choices to select from. 1 as extremely dissatisfied up to 8 that is extremely satisfied. Now for 7-point Likert scales is another scale that can be used which is giving an options for the individual to choose a neutral options, and it goes from 1 to 7. Number 4 is a neutral, number 1 is strongly disagree, number 7 strongly agree. Now 6-point forced Likert scale is again another scale that goes from 1 to 6. 1 is extremely dissatisfied, 6 is extremely satisfied, and it is forced because there is no neutral options, so the individual are forced to select one of these options from 1 to 6. Some of the researchers really can decide combining the options of satisfied, dissatisfied and combining the data together as one data of no-neutral options. It's again personal choice. Now, another scale is the 5-point Likert scale. 5-point Likert scales goes from scale number 1 for very dissatisfied up to 5 for very satisfied, and it has a neutral options in it, as the individual can select as I'm not concerned, or I am not agreeing or disagreeing, I'm not satisfied or dissatisfied. So it gives an options of neutral choice here, and that's why it's called 5 Likert. Now also in designing a survey can include in it a 4-point forced Likert scale. Forced because there is no neutral. 4-point individual have a choice from 1 to 4. 1 is very dissatisfied and 4 is very satisfied. Another scale that can be used is called 3-point Likert scale, in which the individual can answer a question like, are you what the service was up to expectation, and you have 3 options. One of them, the middle one, is a neutral, and then the lowest is disagree and the highest is agree. So this is called 3-point Likert scale. And the final one is the 2-point forced Likert scale. In 2-point forced Likert scale, you only have 2 options to choose from, either agree or disagree. So you are forced to choose 1 or 2, and there is no third options of neutral option, and that's why it is called 2-point forced Likert scale. So the Likert scale points goes from 2 to 10. Now, I'm not going to describe in depth here once you get the Likert scale data, and of course once you design the survey and get an answer from participant on each specific questions, and you need to do an analysis to find out significant or important differences or belief or value or attitude of individual. The first step in statistical analysis for your survey and the first test to do is called Cronbach alpha reliability test. I've already produced a video clip and it's on my YouTube channels, and if you want to learn more about Cronbach alpha, please do visit the video clip. And I have designed one specifically answering specific test for questionnaire and survey reliability test and validity test, and I'm going to design another Cronbach alpha that goes into goes into parallel with the Likert scale or the data from a questionnaire. So the reliability or validity test is an important test that need to be done at early stages of shaping up your questionnaire or survey, as you need to make sure that you give the individual, you select the choices of 10-20 individual, give them the questionnaire after you have shaped it up, and let them answer the question, and come another week or two, give them the same questionnaire and the same individual, and then let them answer the question. and if their answers are really identical, then your test is reliable, and if they are not identical, then you need to do modification into your questionnaire. So this is important, that there is a consistency in your data, individual called consistency, and the way to do that is to measure it through alpha Cronbach alpha reliability test. The data generated from the survey, whether it's collected on a paper and then transferred into Excel and then to a software like SPSS for analysis, is an ordinal. Most of the data are ordinal data, single item or questions, and they have 2 to 10 choices, in average 5 choices. So it is ordinal, in order from 1 to 5. So this data can be analyzed through looking at descriptive analysis by drawing bar chart, finding out the median and the mood. One also important test that can be used for looking at your data, extracting significant conclusion, is the analysis of variance on ranks of Kruskal Wallis test. Again, this is a non-parametric test that can be used for ranking and ranked data, or ordinal data, as we have here, ordinal data. And it is for multiple groups, for 3 or more groups, looking at their analysis of variance. I've already made 3 video clips describing the background behind Kruskal Wallis test and how to do the Kruskal Wallis test in SPSS. So please do, if you are interested, visit the my YouTube channel and look at these videos to learn more about the Kruskal Wallis test and the assumptions and the criteria you need to have to follow and use the test for your data. Another test, also statistical test, is called Mann Whitney U test. I have already also produced a video clip online on my YouTube channel. So if you are interested in learning more, please do visit the channel. The Mann Whitney U test again is non-parametric test. It can be used for ordinal data, in which you look for look at the data and put them in rank. So it works for ordinal data, and look at 2 groups together simultaneously, the Kruskal 3 or more. So that's the difference between the 2 tests. Again, information are all on the air on the YouTube channel. There is also an important analysis called principal component analysis and factor analysis, and I'm going to generate and make a video clip for each one individually, hopefully in the coming weeks. These are important for questionnaire evaluation and questionnaire and survey analysis and data obtained from the survey. So the principal component analysis, it works by reducing the items or the questions. So if you have 40 or 30 questions and you want to reduce them to viable and important questions, from 40, 30 into up to 5 or 6, this is the way to do that is to use principal component analysis, and I will go into depth in a separate video clip. Factor analysis, also data reduction into small components. It does look at intercorrelation between variables, and it does measure the construct. Construct I will describe shortly in the next slide. Now, another test that can be used also called chi-square for categorical data. Again, I will describe and produce a video clip for chi-square and its application and what situation it can be used in, and the assumptions and the criteria to use a chi-square. Spearman's correlation coefficient test, also another non-parametric test that look at the correlation between 2 variables that are non-parametrics. I had already produced a video clips. It's also in my YouTube channels. Kendall's Tau correlation coefficient, another non-parametric test to look at the correlation between variables, ordinals variables. Again, there is a difference between these two correlation, Spearman's and Kendall Tau's, and I do have video clip for the Kendall Tau, and so there is really a good collection of correlation on my YouTube channel if you want to learn about these two tests. In addition to the ordinal data generated from the questionnaire or from using Likert scale, also the scale can generate data that are parametric through something called summated data. Summated data tend to be more normally distributed or parametric, so you can use the mean to find out the mean for your data, or use a Pearson's correlation coefficient. This test can be used for parametric data to look at correlation between two variables that are continuous and normally distributed. I had already made a video clip that describes in depth the background for Pearson's correlation and how to perform the test in SPSS through an example. So please do visit the channel if you are interested. My channel. Another important test also can be used for analyzing the data is t-test, looking at two groups that are normally distributed. It has to fulfill certain assumptions to use the t-test. Again, I will generate hopefully the test in coming weeks. And another test also called ANOVA analysis of variance. This is used to compare and find a difference between 3 or more groups that are normally distributed and following certain assumptions. Again, I am in the process of producing video clip for ANOVA. Another test that can be used for analyzing your data extracted from survey or questionnaire is regression analysis. There are several different types of regression. You have simple regression, multiple regression, logistic regression, binary regression, and so on. I am working also on making several video clips describing different types of regression, and those will be released in due time, hopefully in the coming few weeks. Before just finishing up, there are two important terminology that you need to be very familiar with once you are involved in designing a survey or questionnaire. There is something called construct. Constructs consist of several Likert type single items. So collect questions together under specific titles, and they are called constructs. So a construct is a collection of items that constitute a construct. If you have a survey looking at education efficiency, education technology, teaching technology, and then experience of the teacher, those, and then questions under these items, under these titles. These are then the titles are the construct, and the question underneath it are the items, and these form the construct. So it will be more clearly once you design and I show you how to design the questionnaire, how to build up your construct. There is also another terminology called composites or summated scale. It's composed of 4 Likert items combined together into single composite. So combining the answer, a selection from 4 Likert items into one composite is called summated scale. It does measure the concept or latent variables such as feeling that cannot be measured directly. You combine few items to get summated scale. These data could be scale data, parametric data, and parametric test can be used to analyze it.